What's up, lads? You're the Budget Monk and welcome to a new video. This is just a quick video, guys, as to analyze why in my guides, when I do Byzantium, I do not release Bulgaria and obtain them for free. This is what is asserted and constantly asked me hundreds or thousands even of times along my, streams, my YouTube guides, that sort of thing. Why do I not release Bulgaria? The answer should be self-explanatory. It is obvious that I think that this is more optimized and superior. So that's pretty much the short analysis, but we're going to do an in-depth analysis because of the new patch which has been announced, the new DLC, which is going to change the dynamic in this region, and very likely I will be using the same strategy. We'll see how Paradox responds to the previous strategies, if they in fact do and change the dynamic in this region. However, let's talk about it. Releasing Bulgaria as a vassal versus allowing them to become an independent nation and annexing that nation. So I've simulated with console commands here a victory over the Ottomans, my preferred peace deal. I leave the capital here as a pragmatic reason because it is not required for the missions, and it allows you to truce reset the Ottomans more easily. So if I'm playing a real game, right, my next move is to go into Bulgaria as soon as they defect, which I've prepped here. And if we look at the Ottomans, they're guaranteeing Serbia. So what I would have done is already prepared a claim so that I'm ready to core Serbia, which allows me to go in here and access the gold. Very nice, right? Or alternatively, Wallachia, if they guarantee Wallachia. But also, this allows us to jump back into a war against the Ottomans, which allows us to white peace them quite easily, assuming that you can blockade the coasts because you've defeated them at sea in the initial war. We can blockade the coasts, and we can occupy his capital city, which is enough to quite easily and swiftly not only win the war, but also truce reset, allowing us to increase the rate at which we can expand. So that's why I leave the capital there. And otherwise, these rebels, the Bulgarian occupations within inside of the Ottoman Empire, as many of you guys know, they have spawned within inside our country, and they walk into the Ottomans. So let's talk about this. If I release Bulgaria as a vassal right now, of course, we're going to be losing this province. That's one thing to consider, is that we took this province with Reconquest, the CB, and it is at zero autonomy, and, it's ours completely. Not only are we not gaining the land, but we're losing that province, okay? We're ceding this to Bulgaria. Secondly, people are talking about it's free. Just release Bulgaria and it's free. My question is, what constitutes free? Because there is an advantage to releasing Bulgaria right now and they defect to our vassal, and that is that it does not cost any aggressive expansion. So annexing a nation of this size will demonstrate this here as I unpause the game. It is going to cost a lot of aggressive expansion, but remember that it is orthodox aggressive expansion, which means that only 50% of that is received with Catholics, and they're also quite far away in terms of region. It does, unfortunately, give a relevant amount of aggressive expansion with Venice, who is nearby, Genoa, and then much less significant nations. But that is a legitimate cost, is the AE, and I acknowledge that. As far as the monarch point cost, it is not free to vassalize them. It is only free to vassalize them, assuming that you have no intention to ever annex them. You either pay with Diplo points or you pay with admin points. And in this case, we have permaclaims. Permaclaims actually reduce the time at which it takes to core, but they also reduce the cost at which it takes to core. So it is actually more efficient to annex them with admin points. You do have the option to do it through Diplo, but like I said, you are actually ceding land that you already previously obtained for free, and it is more expensive. As far as people saying it's free, intending that you don't need to fight a war, well, this is exactly a simulation as to what I would normally do, and I just want to demonstrate how easy this war actually is, because you have previously already dealt with the Bulgarian rebels themselves as they spawn in your country. They will walk back into your country, and therefore when Bulgaria spawns in, he's got 0 army, okay, 0 regiments. But more significant than that is, just one day ago, this province was not a fort, and therefore it has 0 garrison. Even if you do not arrive here before the end of the month, you will see it has under 100 garrison here in their capital. So therefore, what does that mean? Most of you guys can probably guess. You probably know what that means. It means that we're going to 1 month this, okay? And tell me here, as we unpause the game, we're playing this part of the run legitimately. Tell me that this is not free. That was one of the easiest wars you will ever fight. As long as you've prepped it up like that, it takes 5 years to defect, guys. So you can actually look at the history of the province when it was occupied by rebels, and then it's up here, and then 5 years later, liberated from enemy occupations, annexed by Bulgaria. Exactly 5 years. So you click on the province which was first occupied, or if you don't know for what reason, you can go around and check each one, but it will take exactly 5 years. So you should be prepped and ready. Hopefully you're not caught with your pants down. Now, I want you to notice that we can take 117 ducats of munmuns here. Almost 18 ducats of money. So people talking about free. Well, this is actually, you're being paid to make this move, guys. That is not an insignificant amount of money at all. Typically, as Byzantium, you're going to be broke. It's somewhat likely that you're broke from your initial war, and your loan size has dramatically increased, probably from about 22, 23 ducats to almost 3 times as much here. And the way that you typically play is you take superior, more expensive loans to pay off many more of your cheaper loans. But you're often still in debt at this stage, and that is 2 brand new loans worth of money. Not insignificant at all. Now, there's another thing to consider, which is, of course, that you will have previously stated this area up due to spawning the Bulgarian rebels here, like blocking out the Ottomans. And with this dynamic, this is enough to accept the Bulgarian culture. We now have all of this land, our religion, and accepted culture. I highly recommend you accept Bulgarian. It's a decent-sized culture group, as you can see, but it allows you to consecrate Metropolitan here, for example, where you otherwise would not be able to due to the difference in culture. More importantly, if you accept before coring, it reduces the core cost. So this takes 2 years in the beginning of the game with no CCR due to the accepted culture. It slightly reduces core costs and the permanent claims. So it will take a measly 2 years, and that will be caught up very, very nicely. Now, let's say that you do the alternative and you release Bulgaria as a vassal, then these defect to him. You now, in a situation where Bulgaria is your vassal, you do not have the trade power within side of all of these Thracian provinces, which means you're going to have significantly less trade. If you wish to obtain the trade power, people are going to say, yeah, but you can just transfer trade. This actually is a detriment to your subjects' economy, and it is actually going to make them give you less tribute, just for the record. But also, as many of you guys know, it increases the liberty desire of the subject by 30%. Speaking of liberty desire, the defections from the provinces actually increase the liberty desire of your vassal. So sometimes I wonder, because I actually innovated this strategy. You know, I was the first person I know of, at least on YouTube, to put it out there and to do this. And people are asking me, why not release it as Bulgaria, as though they have actually done that themselves and experienced the difference. Of course, they haven't. Most people haven't. And if you do try one and try the other, you will find that it is extremely suboptimal. So I know I might be sounding condescending. That's not my intention. But the answer should be self-explanatory. I think that this is way more well optimized. With that being said, you know, due to the accepted culture, guys, this will unrest. You can see 2.5 of that is from overextension. Maybe you're lucky here, you get some nice stability events. By rebel suppressing, sitting here and rebel suppressing, in fact, this is just about stable as is, guys, these provinces that you've taken due to the, you know, after that goes away, some time passes, you can rebel suppress, and often you can actually annex this with no consequence whatsoever. Talking about vassals, you only have so many relations, you only have so much liberty desire available, right, relative power to the liege overlord. What is much more preferable, and what I typically do, there's a likelihood that the Ottomans have guaranteed Wallachia instead of Serbia. One of my next moves is to go into Wallachia if it is available, I think we'll just cheat here with the win wars command. And at a measly, this is only with one claim, 72 Diplo. Talking about free, we need to wait till a month passes. For a measly 72 Diplo, we can actually full annex and release Wallachia. Let's do strong duchies to help out the Liberty Desire. Now, if we make this play after doing Bulgaria, I mean, do I have to, you know, break that down? It's another relation, it's more Liberty Desire, it's not sustainable. But this is free, more or less, if you have the intention to just own Wallachia in this capacity and push the envelope back, not annexing them into the country. Do you understand the difference between having land that very much benefits you under a subject, or having land that does not in any way benefit you from owning, apart from a little bit of force limit under a subject? Speaking of force limit, if we let a month go by just to make sure everything is updated, you can see that at the cost of 72... By the way, we could have taken money from Wallachia as well, maybe 100 ducats in that peace deal or whatever, but at the cost of 72 ducats, Wallachia is perfectly stable, of course, and they now give us, of course, with the prestige, the money, the army tradition that you took from that war, if you fought it legitimately, you now gain 1.4 force limit and 0.73 ducats. We don't need to worry about the trade because he has his own independent trade, which means he doesn't in any way take trade from us, right? Wallachia has zero influence here in Constantinople, and this is a much superior dynamic. Again, you cannot do this alternative move, play in this fashion, if you release Bulgaria, or you will suffer the consequences. So I'm hoping this video serves the purpose to be linked to help clarify that. It is obviously suboptimal, and the answer to the question why is because I believe this is superior. That is why I do it myself. I will give you guys one little tidbit of information. This was a normal difficulty game. Let's just, meaning we can save. Let's just load this here, and I want to show you one more thing to clarify stuff. If you release a vassal who actually now exists in the game, then these occupations which will defect to them each after 5 years. So this one after 5 years, then this one, in the order at which they were occupied. And that means that you will only obtain these provinces if every single one was occupied. I'm talking about if you do this. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a comparison. This means that if one of these provinces is not occupied, they will not go to our vassal. But if... You could see that? One by one. With the original scenario, which I recommend doing, the entire nation will defect only... Even if only one province is occupied, the entire nation will defect. So are you guys seeing the difference here? One by one. That is a very, very significant thing to consider. And look at the Liberty's Eye. So, with all due respect, guys, you can core into land like this, but we would be unable to expand into Serbia in this case unless Bulgaria happened to make a claim. Okay, maybe we're vital. And with all due respect, you have to be a fool to think that this is superior, even in the ideal setup like this. So look how mad Bulgaria is. We don't get the money, the 118 ducats from annexing them. Look how much of a liability this is. This is an Achilles heel to our nation. And after 5 years of our truce, we literally lost development, let me remind you. After 5 years, this is still going to be a huge issue, a huge liability. If any other vassals' Liberty increases, then let's do a fair comparison. So I'll do strong duchies. They're going to ally Bulgaria. That's what happens. So if Epirus's Liberty Desire goes up, they will actually ally them, giving them increased Liberty Desire, and of course, basically joining the anti-overlord coalition. So I hope that clears that up. And I'm sorry this wasn't that informative. I have much better content coming down the line. It's something really, really good that I'm proud of, I'm working on. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you guys. and I'll see you live or I'll see you in another video.